problem with filming in this room, I love it, but it is in the alley. And if you live in Chicago, you know things go down in the alley. So there's some sort of like weird mechanical sound right now. So if that's in the back, I do apologize, but that be the Chicago alley. She wildin', she crazy. Hi, welcome. If you are new here, my name is Catherine and I'm here to talk about books. I am getting the itch. I'm getting the itch. I want to buy some books. The truth is, I need to get some books. I need to get The Prestige by Christopher Priest. If you watched my last video, you know that I want to get to read that this year. So I need to buy that book anyway. And there's some other books I have to get for my book club. Some ones that are coming up. I'm reading The Hearing Trumpet by Leonora Carrington. I'm really excited. Unfortunately, I will be away when we're reading The Door by Magda Sasbo, but I'm still going to pick that up because I still really want to read it. Whenever I buy books that I need to get for something, either for a book club, I always then just like to sneak in a couple from the TBR that I've had my eye on for a bit. But also, I have a very large TBR. Oh my god, yeah. 1,748 books. It's a lot. So I kind of forget. I put stuff on there all the time because I'm constantly surfing Goodreads. I'm constantly looking up recommendations, clicking on things, clicking on, oh, I like this author. What do they read? Boom, boom, boom. And it's just grown. But I've come up with a little game. A game of sorts. I'm so excited. It's a very simple game. So there's Goodreads, you know, if you're on here, you probably know about Goodreads, but there's another book platform, book social media of sorts called the StoryGraph. If you are not familiar with the StoryGraph, I am going to insert a little video of kind of showing you what it would look like. If you are someone who does not want to support Amazon, StoryGraph is a great way to do it. It's very new, so I'd say the social aspects of this platform are not super built in yet. It's not as social as Goodreads, but it's still very good. They really break down stats well. I'll show you what they do for stats. So it goes really into, like, they're making pie charts. It gets really into the types of books you're reading, the moods, what kind of pace you're reading, the page numbers. Like, it really breaks down a lot of stats, which I think is really interesting. They also have reading challenges. They have a community platform, though I find it to be a little bit less interactive than Goodreads. Also because Goodreads uses your Facebook friends, and that are a lot of my friends. I then can see what they're reading, where I don't know how many people are on StoryGraph yet, so I don't use it for the social aspects as much. I do use it for recommendations and just for, again, to log my books elsewhere. Just in case there's a time that I don't want to use Amazon anymore, I can put them in another spot. But what I found to be very interesting when I started using StoryGraph, when you come in, it shows your to-read pile, it shows recommendations, it shows selections, almost like randomly selecting things from your to-read pile, which Goodreads doesn't. Goodreads is like your TBR pile, it's just here's a dump, figure it out, sift through it. It doesn't give you, which I like in StoryGraph, this little selection. It's almost like, hey, just randomly selected some books that are in your to-read pile. Remember these? Remember these? And I'm gonna tell you, like, 7 times out of 10, I go, oh my god, I forgot I added that. I forgot that's technically on my TBR pile. So it gives you just a nice little glimpse. So, because my day job is so unbelievably exciting and fast-paced and moving, I came up with a game to be able to pick my new books. Can you get my sarcasm? I came up with a way to pick what books I want to get when I am just online already ordering books. So this is the rules of the game. The rules of the game. Very simple. I pull up StoryGraph, and on my desktop it pulls up 6 because it's a wider screen, but at home on the laptop we are relegated to 4 books, so we have 4 books that pull up, and those are the 4 that we can choose. Like, those are the 4 we have. But we still are going to let fate decide again which of the 4 are going to be chosen. So I look at these 4, and using Goodreads, because note to self on StoryGraph, if you click out of this, we aren't going to use these 4 books, so I'll show you an example. If I go to stats, let's just say, and then I go back to home, it's going to change those 4 books. I am just going to use Goodreads to pull up a synopsis so we can read what the book is about, and maybe you'll have an opinion then of which book you would like to get selected. Then, again, we let fate take course because I have had. I love when things have to get pulled out of a hat. It's so drama, it's so silly. Instead of doing a random number generator online, I'm like, I could be more drama and use like a Newsies cap. So that's what we're gonna do. So I have 4 slips of paper in here, and then I will choose which one will be the one to get. And I have to, because I'm recording this and because there's an audience, I have to stick to it. I can't lie about it. I have to stick to it. I think we should try it. That's exciting. This I've been like thinking of doing for a while, but I just think it's really fun and different. And it's a way for you to see StoryGraph. If you are not into StoryGraph, it might be something you want to check out. So, let's do it. This is it. When I press refresh, we're going in. Okay. Oh, okay. Now, interesting. The options that we have are White Noise by Don DeLillo, Lady Susan by Jane Austen, The Making of Americans by Gertrude Stein, and Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. Fun fact, I do already own White Noise. I have that exact edition, and I do have Lady Susan. I have it in an edition with the Watsons, I believe it's called. It's an edition that has a bunch of her shorter writings in it, so I do technically own Lady Susan. But we're gonna roll the dice, we'll see. Let's look up each of these. Well, you know what, we'll search right in here. We'll search right inside my own TBR, my own labyrinth of hell. But White Noise by Don DeLillo. Well, here we go. So just to give you a quick synopsis and to give you an idea of what this book is looking like, 3.86 out of 114,000 ratings. There was a movie that just came out, so I assume a lot of people read it when that came out. White Noise tells the story of Jack Gladney and his wife Babette, who are both afraid of death. Jack is head of Hitler studies at the college on the hill. His colleague Murray runs a seminar on car crashes. Together they ponder the instances of celebrity death from Elvis to Marilyn to Hitler. Through the brilliant and often funny dialogue between Jack and Murray, DeLillo exposes our common obsessions with mortality and delineates Jack and Babette's touching relationship and their biggest fear. Who will die first? So I own this. I have read Don DeLillo before. I read Mao too. Did not really like it. I think I didn't really get it, and actually I would say I don't think that's probably where I should have started with Don DeLillo. I probably should have started here, but I found Mao too in a little free library and I picked it up and I was kind of like, but I think we just try again. We try with a different book. So that's White Noise. Next up, Lady Susan. Lady Susan. Oh, okay, 3.65 out of 44,000. Beautiful, flirtatious, and recently widowed. I'm gonna stop. Beautiful, flirtatious, and I cannot read! Beautiful, flirtatious, and recently widowed, Lady Susan Vernon seeks an advantageous second marriage for herself, while attempting to push her daughter into a dismal match. A magnificently crafted novel of Regency manners and mores that will delight Austen enthusiasts with its wit and elegant expression. How lovely. So this is one of her lesser known works. It's one of her shorter works. It's 180. I believe it was one of her, oh yeah, I think it was published posthumously. I don't think this came out during her life. But, so I won't necessarily buy just this copy. I already own it in a Penguin Black Spine, along with her other short writings. So if this were to get selected, that's what we would choose. The Making of Americans by Gertrude Stein. I know off the top of my head, this is a long book. Like, this is really long. All right, The Making of Americans. Gertrude Stein, 3.58. In The Making of Americans, Gertrude Stein sets out to tell a history of a family's progress, radically reworking the traditional family saga novel to encompass her vision of personality and psychological relationships. As the history progresses over 3 generations, Stein also mediates on her own writing on the making of Americans and on America. Really tested me with that one. You tested me. Yeah, it's 926 pages. And again, I'm not someone who's afraid of a big book. We love a big book here, but that's a lot of Gertrude Stein. I've read the autobiography of Alice B. Toklas, which was good, but 926 pages. Whew, that's a lot. We'll see. And the last one is Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. We're kind of hoping this one gets backed. Gothic, although I say that and that always throws it off. Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell, 3.8, okay. Such whispered tales, such old temptations and hauntings, and devilish terrors. Elizabeth Gaskell's chilling Gothic tales blend the real and the supernatural to eerie and compelling effect. Disappearances, inspired by local legends of mysterious vanishings, mixes gossip and fact. Lois the Witch, a novella based on an account of the Salem witch trials, shows how sexual desire and jealousy led to hysteria, while in The Old Nurse's Story, a mysterious child roams the freezing Northumberland moors. Yeah! Whether darkly surreal, such as The Poor Clare, where an evil doppelganger is formed by a woman's bitter curse, or mischievous, like Curious, if true, a playful reworking of fairy tales, all the pieces of this volume form a stark contrast to the social realism of Gaskell's novels, revealing a darker and more unsettling style of writing. I would hope stark contrast. I feel like it's supposed to be stark. Penguin, you're better than that. Anyway, we're kind of hoping that's the one. I love an old Victorian Gothic tale. We love them. I didn't really know if that was something Elizabeth Gaskell was known for, but I saw this and was like, oh yeah, definitely. All of that sounds right up my alley. Elizabeth Gaskell, I've read Cranford, and Cranford I liked, but I couldn't say I was like agog over it. Okay, once more. Our contestants. We have White Noise, Don DeLillo, Lady Susan by Jane Austen, The Making of Americans, Gertrude Stein, The Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. And the Oscar goes to Yo, yes! Number 4. So we're numbering them 1 through 4. The 4th one I went over was Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. Let's go! Ah, I knew it. I knew it in my heart of hearts. Yes. Okay, great. So the next time I order books, you saw it here first, I am going to order Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. Well, that was quick and that was fun. So I say we do one more. I think I need one more book. One more book. Let's refresh the page. So you're seeing all these old ones here. We press refresh. Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay. Very interesting picks. Oh, something also to note. When you open a StoryGraph account, you have the option of taking all of your lists and all of your to-read piles and your read piles. They take it over from Goodreads and transfer it over to StoryGraph, which is great because that saves you a hell of a lot of time. But sometimes when they do transfer over, they get kind of confused about editions. So I know I selected a very specific edition of Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl, but for some reason they're like, we don't know what that is. But when we pull it up on Goodreads, we'll see it. So, our contestants, we have 100 artists' manifestos from the Futurists to the Stuckists. So these are artist manifestos. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Italian Journey. Trowbridge Road by Marcella Pixley, and Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl. Every time these come up, I get biased. I'm always like, I want that one. And I do kind of want Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl because I've only read Roald Dahl as a child. He was one of my favorite authors as a kid, but I've never read his adult work. But we give them all a fair shot. This is a fair and just game that I've come up with, so that's what we're doing. Okay, 100 Artists' Manifestos. This is a Penguin Modern Classic. And I think it's edited by Alex Donchev, but it's a bunch of different artists and their manifestos. In this remarkable collection of 100 manifestos from the last 100 years, Alex Donchev presents the cacophony of voices of such diverse movements as Futurism, Dadaism, Surrealism, Feminism, Communism, Destructivism, Abortivism, Stridenism, Cannibalism, and Stuckism, taking in, along the way, film, architecture, fashion, and cookery. Artist manifestos are nothing if not revolutionary. They are outlandish, outrageous, and frequently offensive. They combine wit, wisdom, and word-shaking demands. This collection gathers together an international array of artists of every stripe, including Kandinsky, Mayakovsky, Rodchenkov, Le Corbusier, Picabia, Dali, Oldenburg, Vertov, Baslitz, Kitaj, Murakami, Gilbert, and George, together with their allies and collaborators, such figures as Marionetti, Apollinaire, Breton, Trotsky, Guy Debord, and Rem Koolhaas. This title is edited with an introduction by Alex Donchev. So cool. I added this a long time ago back, I think, when I was in college, because I was taking a lot of art history classes, and the manifestos are super interesting to me because I just find it so interesting that they're like, this artist movement, we need this, and we need to do this, and this, and that. The writing of them is always so cool. So I found this. Great. All right. Italian Journey. I feel like I talk about her channel on this channel all the time, but it's because she was probably the first booktuber I ever watched, is Emma. I know she just read this book and that's what made me add it, and I know she was like kind of so-so about it, but in 1786, when he was already the acknowledged leader of the Sturm und Drang literary movement, Goethe set out on a journey to Italy to fulfill a personal and artistic quest and to find relief from his responsibilities and the agony of unrequited love. Same. As he traveled to Venice, Rome, Naples, and Sicily, he wrote many letters, which he later used as the basis for the Italian journey. A journal full of fascinating observations on art and history and the plants, landscape, and the character of the local people he encountered. This is also a moving account of the psychological crisis from which Goethe emerged newly inspired to write the great works of his mature years. Cool. Sure. I've been to Italy. I feel like this would be a very, very cool one to read. The only thing I have of Goethe is The Sorrows of Young Werther, which I still haven't read yet. I still own it. Let's not talk about the books in my collection we haven't read yet, because that negates this whole thing we're doing. Trowbridge Road by Marcella Pixley. I don't know if she's British, I'm just pretending she's British. Trowbridge Road by Marcella Pixley. It's the summer of '83 on Trowbridge Road, and Junebug Jordan is hungry. Months after her father's death from complication from AIDS, her mother has stopped cooking and refuses to leave the house, instead locking herself away to scour at the germs she believes are everywhere. Junebug threatens this precarious existence by going out to the neighborhood, gradually befriending Ziggy, and an imaginative boy who is living with his Nana Jean after experiencing troubles of his own. But as Junebug's connection to the world grows stronger, her mother grows more distant, even dangerous, pushing Junebug to choose between truth and healing and the only home she's ever known. Trowbridge Road paints an unwavering portrait of a girl and her family touched by mental illness and grief. Set in the Boston suburbs during the first years of the AIDS epidemic, the novel explores how a seemingly perfect neighborhood can contain restless ghosts and unspoken secrets. Written with deep insight and subtle lyricism by acclaimed author Marcella Pixley, Trowbridge Road demonstrates our power to rescue one another even when our hearts are broken. Oof, that seems good. Honestly, not that many people have read it. It came out in 2020 and only 516 ratings, so crazy. I actually think this might be, yes, actually this is middle grade, but people really seem to really like it. I believe I added this after I finished And the Band Played On, because I was just all of a sudden like, I want to read everything that touches the AIDS epidemic. So this is different for me. I usually don't pick up middle grade, or I'm interested in reading middle grade, but this seems very good, and also just like very deep for a middle grade book. Those are some really heavy themes. So yeah, that's Trowbridge Road. The last is the one I secretly want to get, but we'll see. It's Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl. I know these are short stories, and we do like short stories on this channel. I do tend to read a lot of short story collections. In these dark, disturbing stories by Roald Dahl explores the sinister side of human nature, the cunning, sly, selfish part of each of us that leads into the territory of the unexpected and unsettling. There is something in my eye. Originally published in 1960, Kiss Kiss brings together 11 of Roald's macabre adult tales. William and Mary was later adapted for Roald's American television series Way Out, and several of the stories appeared in British television adaptations for the series Tales of the Unexpected in the 1980s. Also included here is The Champion of the World, the first time Roald wrote about the man who would go on to become Danny's dad in Danny, Champion of the World. Oh, the stories featured in Kiss Kiss. The Landlady, that story I have read, and that story's crazy. Read I think you can just find it if you look it up online. That story's nutso. So it's just short stories by Roald Dahl, and they're for adults. And I really want to read that, because again, I haven't read any Roald Dahl since I was a child, and read his stuff that was specifically meant for kids. So I don't want to get to that, but I can't decide. It's the hat that must decide. While I shake this, I will read our contestants again. We have 100 Artists' Manifestos from the Futurists to the Stuckists, number 1. Number 2, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Italian Journey. Number 3, Trowbridge Road by Marcella Pixley. And 4, Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl. And the winner is 100 Artists' Manifestos! Okay! 100 Artists' Manifestos. That is pretty cool. So we're getting 100 Artists' Manifestos, and we're getting Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm happy with that. I can go with that. And what's great about this game is that I would have completely forgot that these were on my list at all. Like, I would have completely forgot. but this made me remember. So it just makes me then actually be responsible for reading the books that I put on that list a while ago and stay committed to. It's also great because I find that to read pile, those things come up and I go, oh, actually, I don't want to read that book anymore. So I remove it from the TBR piles from both the StoryGraph and Goodreads. And then I just keep the list to things that I do truly want to read. So this to read pile feature on StoryGraph really does a lot for me. And it helped pick this book and it helped make this video, which I thought was actually really fun. Maybe this is something I'll do kind of on the regular when I do feel like I need to buy books again, which comes up. But for now, I will be ordering, when I order my book club books, I'll be ordering 100 Artists Manifestos and Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Like, comment, subscribe. Are there any books that you are looking for? Any books that you will be scouting for? Do you want to play this game? If you do want to play this game, let me know, because it is actually very fun. But yeah, I'll be here and I'll be talking about books. Bye!